stripes, I guess.
And then you put bars.
Cool?
Huh?
Did it work out or no? What's wrong with your cut?
You go to the button that's next to
Why
nine.
isn't it blue?
And you press this.
Okay.
And then there, like,
Alright,
there's
cool.
a bunch of numbers. Like, it should be somewhere in there.
Okay. So now I know I should have the graph of the derivative correctly, so I just need to copy that right there.
What?
Okay, now my window is a little bit different, right? I only want to see it from where to where? 0 to 5. So let's address the window, okay? So that's going to be under menu. Number 4 for window. And number 1 for window settings. So that's
It's slowly doing it.
so we want to go from where to where? 0 to 5 on the x's, and it looks like they're going by ones. So you can change the x scale to a 1. I'm under menu. Window settings. And then under my y min, it seems that the lowest y value they have here on this graph is a negative 15. And the highest is a positive 15. So I'm going to change that to that. And I'm going to press OK. So now I know what the graph that I draw there should kind of look like. Okay? The one we draw is going to be a little bit more squashed in together because our values are closer. What do you think I'm going to look for on this graph when you draw it? I'm going to look for x's, yes, and y's. What particular x's do you mean?
Zero.
The zeros, right? So I want to see that it does cross at these x's, right, specifically. So does anybody know how to find those specific x's?
Go to menu.
Go to menu, okay. 5?
Six.
We could do 5, but we're going to spend life going all the way through the graph. You want to do 6?
And 0.
And 1 for zeros, okay? So now what do I do?
You trace it from 0. Oh,
Yes.
Well, we don't really care about 0, right?
no, but like,
Like right there maybe? Is that okay? And then what do? I click on it? Yeah? And then I move it to the right. And that's going to give me that one. What's that first one? 0.6? I'm not going to press enter and you're going to see why right now. Okay. Why didn't I press enter?
Keep on dragging.
Because I can keep on dragging it and it'll keep giving me some, right? Well, what's the next one? 1.2. Then I can keep going, right? Hopefully. So give me the next one. Yay! 1.8. So what seems to be the pattern? Seems to be that they're adding 0.6. So what should the next one be? 2.4. Ah,
I don't know what you did wrong.
there it is, 2.4.
I got it.
Oh, it's like the times tables by 6. 6, 12, 18, 24, right? With a decimal in the middle.
Mother.
What comes after 24?
What?
30? So that'll be 3. Oh, how cool. So after a certain time, this doesn't work anymore, right?
Yeah.
So this will get me up to 2 point something, maybe 3 if you're lucky. But it's not giving me anymore. So now what would I do?
You added 5?
We could add another 0.6, right? If we notice that that is truly the pattern. What if there is no pattern? Do it again, right? But now start further to the right. So we get 3, then we get 3.6, right?
yeah.
I just restarted again the way I did originally. Press escape. Okay. Do it again, menu. 6.1. Okay, and put it somewhere wherever you left off. So like I left off at 3, so I got on the right side of 3 and I kept going. So 3.6 and then the next one's what? Oh, it's so annoying, I can't go anymore. I gotta do it again? Kidding me? It has to be an easier way. 4.2, and then the next one? 4.8, right? Do you think there's a way that it would give me all of them at one time?
The graph.
Yes, there is. Do you want me to show you? Yeah? Alright, so let me show you. So, the way to get them all in one shot, it's gonna boom, put them all there for you and tell you what the points are. It's like this. So go to tab. Okay? And we're gonna put f3 of x is equal to 0. So it's gonna draw a line there on the x-axis. Okay? And then we're gonna find where they intersect, right? But I'm not gonna use the one under analyze graph, because that one only gives me one at a time, just the way the 0 one was, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to geometry, because that's just so awesome. Okay, and I'm gonna go to what? What do you think? Points and lines, you're good. And then intersection points. This thing is awesome, it's so self-explanatory. Okay, now this is where you get stuck. What do I do now? There's no instructions, right?
Enter.
So no, you don't just press enter.
Click on
So you have to click on the two things you want to know are intersecting. So click on one graph, and then click on the second graph, and as you get close to the second one, it's already going to start calculating where they're crossing.
Oh.
And it won't save them until you press enter on it, okay? And then press escape, and now they're all listed there. Is that cool? And now it's just a matter of you moving them, so you can press control click to grab them, and then you can move them. Control click. Ah. Make sure the hand is open and then control click. Cool? And you can go through that, moving them around so you can identify what they are and where they belong. Seems easy? Yes? Alright. So anyways, let's draw the graph as best as we can. You ready? Seems to start at 0. Does it go above 15?
Yes.
Yes, it does, right? So when I draw it, I want to make sure I go above 15, come back down. Then go under 15, come back up. Go to the same height as best as I can. Go to the same. Gross. Try my best, sir. I missed one. That's it. Do I stop right here at 4.8? I gotta keep going. Is it only up to 4.8 or is it up to 5? Up to 5, right? So how high would it be at 5? Seems like it's about right there. It's not all the way to the top, right? But it's close to it. And it's just a sketch, so it doesn't mean that it has to be what?
Perfect.
Perfect. But should these be different? No, -1, the graph is wrong. Okay? Just kidding, it's not that hard. Okay. Try to be as best as you can draw it, okay? What I'm looking for is these values that they're in the right place. Easy? Alright. We're almost done. 2 more questions! Yay! Are you excited? Excited? It was a long review, wasn't it? Here we go. You ready, Ivan? So it says, during the first 5 seconds of the performer spinning the lasso, how many times is the lasso at its maximum height? Give a reason for your answer based off of H prime.
Bless you.
So how do I know, bless you, that I'm at a maximum height if I'm looking at the graph of H prime?
It's when
The knot, that's what they meant. Well, it's the lasso at its maximum height, but they mean the knot. The mins and the maxes are found at the zeros of the derivative, right? Okay, so when is this derivative graph equal to 0? When it's at the x-axis, right? So these are the 0 slopes, right? What are the slopes up here? Positive. What are the slopes down here?
Negative.
So remember, this isn't the graph of the original function. This isn't the height. This is a list of what?
Slopes.
Slopes. The list of rates at which the function is changing at different moments in time. Okay? So, do I always have a maximum anytime the slope is 0? Or could I have a minimum when the slope is 0?
Yeah.
I could have a minimum as well, right? So how do I know which ones are the maximum? The function goes from increasing to decreasing, but the derivative changes from?
Positive.
Good, so I'm trying to find where this graph changes from positive to negative, meaning it goes from being where to where on the graph? Above the x-axis to below the x-axis. So can we figure out how many times that happens? How many times do I go based off of this graph from being above to being below? So above to below, that's one, right? Below to above, above to below, below to above, above to below, below to above, above to below. Right? Below to above. So how many times did it happen? 4. So there should be how many maximums? 4. Are they all the same?
No.
They should be, right? Because that lasso was, according to the original function, always going to that same height. Okay, cool. So how could we write here? Think about it. Think before we speak. What are we trying to answer? How many times is the lasso at its maximum height? So maybe we should start off with that. What could we say? Oh, you're good. The lasso is at its maximum height . 4 times? Okay. 4 times during the first 5 seconds. I got that from here. Yeah. Smart, right? They give you all the words, you just need to put them in the right order. It's like a puzzle. During the first 5 seconds, right? And how would I know? Because h prime of t, well, that's what our reason has to be based on.
There goes up to like 18.
Changes from positive to good. Easy? Alright, and the last question, yay! It says, what is the height of the lasso? How do we find that? What's going to give us the height of the lasso? So h of t, right? The first time it is at its minimum height on the interval 0 to 5. So how can I find the height at the first time I have a minimum? What must I first do? Find the first time I have a minimum. And how am I going to know the first time I have a minimum? H prime of t changes from negative to positive. Now it does that multiple times, but we want to know the first time that it does that. So by looking at the derivative graph that we have, when does that happen? T equals 1.2. So looking up here, it's above to below, below to above, negative to positive. So it's going to happen for the first time at 1.2. So I guess it was a good idea that I put those points there, right? Okay. So it happens for the first time at 1.2. So now all I have to do is find what? H of 1.2, right? So let's do that. Do we still have that equation stored up here? Yeah, so I'm going to go to the calculator page. And I think that equation was called F1, if I'm correct. And I want F1 at 1.2. If you don't have it stored, well then you're going to have to retype the whole thing and plug in 1.2 where it needs to be. This makes our life so much easier. So what do we end up with? 2 what? 2 feet. So was that the minimum? Didn't we say that that was the minimum?
Yes.
Right? Yeah? When we looked at the original graph, I said, okay, what's the lowest that the graph that the lasso is going? And we said 2 feet, right? Because the guy's standing up and he's spinning it. So we ended up being correct. Okay, so now let's just write down all that stuff. What could we say? Let's put all these words and letters in the right order. height, okay. I don't know where you're going with that, but let's go. Of the lasso.
It's gonna be the last one. Equals 2 feet.
The height of the lasso is, maybe? Is 2 feet. When t equals 1.2, which is when the knot is at its minimum for the first time during the first 5 seconds? Yeah? The height of the lasso is 2 feet? Yes? When t equals 1.2?